When I started going to Alzheimer's Scotland, I really didn't want to go, but it's the best thing I've ever done because weekly I look so forward to it. We're forming friendships I don't think they'll ever leave us. And it's all because of an illness, you know. It's the best thing I went, as it is. It's the best thing I done was go, although I fought it.
We went to our first meeting at Oxford Street, and it was the best thing that happened. Out of all the information that I'd got, that was the best thing that happened, because we need places like that. We need people who are dedicated like them. We meet there and we just have a nice day. We talk to one another, we discuss how we're feeling. We're all round about the same age group. We're all classed as younger people with dementia, and we've all went through the same sort of journey together. It helps to know that you've got a place like that you can go to, and I don't think there's enough places like that for us.
It's important that my mum had the same nurse from initial diagnosis right through until today, because she's built up a relationship with that woman, and she comes into the house once or twice a month, and my mum always looks forward to seeing her, and she's grown close to her, you know, and she's been such a great help. And I know that my mum can tell the nurse things that she won't tell me. One of the worst things at first, when my mum got first diagnosed, was the fact that she did think it was a unique situation, because she'd been told it was so unusual for someone her age to have Alzheimer's or dementia. And she did feel quite alone. But when she started going to the therapeutic group through Alzheimer's Scotland, it was the best decision. She said herself it was the best thing that she's ever done since she got diagnosed, because she felt connected to other people. She felt as if it was a shared experience, that she wasn't alone. And it had a massive change in her. It made a massive difference. There was a sense of relief for her, and also a sense of these other people have got this diagnosis and they're dealing with it and they're okay, and so I'm okay. It gave her hope, and I think hope was missing.
For a long time, I felt very isolated, to be honest, until really Alzheimer's Scotland came into our lives. From then on, I got information, I got booklets, the meeting with a counsellor almost immediately. And this counsellor was just wonderful. She just normalised the situation for us, and invited us to a therapeutic group. At the time, I didn't realise that I needed some kind of support. The counsellor sat down and asked me how I was. It was great. It was absolutely great.
When someone themselves believes that perhaps they need some additional help, maybe they need some equipment for their home, or they need some social care services at home to support them, then they can ask the new Health and Social Care Partnership. They can ask them to carry out an assessment of their needs. And that would normally then take a form where a health or social care professional would visit that person at their own home, would work with them and their family and have a conversation with them about what help they think they need, would maybe assess their illness or disability and the needs that result from that, and also talk about what is important to that person and what outcomes they might want for themselves. What do you want to help you on a day-to-day basis?
People with dementia have a right to services, and as part of that process they will have an assessment carried out by someone, usually from the local authority. Likewise, carers are also entitled to an assessment for their own needs in their own right, and that means that they're able to sit down, talk to somebody, usually somebody from the social work department, who will talk to them and go over what kind of things would help them, what kind of support they would need, and how that kind of support can help them continue to provide care for the future.
So self-directed support is how we talk about how social care is organised now, and it's really about giving people more choice and control over the support that they get. There's 4 options of self-directed support. The first one is a direct payment, and that's where you would get an assessment of your needs and a budget would be identified. You have to manage the budget and you organise the support yourself. Option 2 is where you would get that same assessment, but instead of that budget coming and sitting with you in your bank account and you having to manage that, the council would still hold the budget, but you would direct the support, so you would tell them what you wanted arranged. The third option is a bit more like the traditional way that social care was organised, I suppose, where you would hear about the services that any local area offers and you just think that one of them would suit for you. Well, that's fine, you can take that, that's option 3. And option 4 is in there, it's like a pick and mix if you like, it's just to offer maximum choice and control. It means you can have any option combination of 1, 2 and 3.
I think it's very important for the BME community to raise awareness of dementia or Alzheimer's, because it's not something that they talk about or mention. It's lack of awareness, that's the main thing. If they knew what to look for, then they would, find information or ask for help. But if you don't know what to look for, then you can't ask for help. There is a need for an interpreter so they can translate everything. It's important to have a bilingual support worker because they can understand the culture, the family will understand it as well, and then the bilingual interpreter can translate to social workers or whoever department that needs to see the person regularly. It's helpful for everyone all around. I think if you provide an interpreter, a bilingual support worker, they can actually speak in their own language, so they don't miss anything out, especially the vital, important information that's going to be helpful to the family and the community. So it's important to have interpreters.
If you meet a deaf person and you think that they may have dementia or they have been diagnosed with dementia, what support can be provided? It is important they have the support of a BSL interpreter. If you are unsure of what other support is available, contact your local deaf organisations.
People with a diagnosis of or younger onset dementia may have younger members in their family, and that can be quite difficult. And what you don't want to do is you don't want to frighten children, but when they ask you a question about the mum or dad's illness, it's important to keep the answers honest, simple and short. There is a number of organisations and literature that are there to support specifically younger people who have a parent who has a diagnosis of dementia.
I've made my daughter my power attorney, my granddaughter second. But that was because at my carers group they had a lawyer who came in to speak to us.
Yes, certainly in terms of power of attorney, people were very helpful and supportive and really encouraging us to do that as early as possible. And that was very important because my ability to stick my head in the sand is very, very strong, and I managed to leave that to the very last minute.
There was one thing I thought was really important, and it was flagged up right from the start. You really have to think about power of attorney. So I now have that in place. I got a lot of good information from the Alzheimer's Scotland. I've checked their website. I found out which lawyers to contact. I've got power of attorney in place. I've got it in place for myself. I've also got a will. I think it was really important to plan those type of events or those type of documents, have them in place.
In terms of what happens long term in the house, I mean, I know there are lots of things I should do. I know we should be making wills. I know we should be looking at what do we do with the house if Brian ends up having to go into care and we have to pay for it. And I know there are people out there that will help me, but it's part of that I don't want to face up to any of that. And it's about being able to do things when you're ready.
It's important, I think, where people have an illness like dementia and at some point they might need more support to make decisions, that they have had a time to think about that. And that they might think about, well, if I was unable to make some of those decisions without help, who would I want to be able to do that? And the way that you might do that is through a document called a power of attorney. And a power of attorney is quite straightforward, an arrangement between two or more people where I, as an individual perhaps, might give authority for someone else to make decisions on my behalf at some point in the future if I'm not able to make those myself. So there are different types of power of attorney. One is about financial powers, it's called a continuing power of attorney. Another is about your general welfare, so day-to-day decisions about daily living activities or health or social care decisions would be part of what's called a welfare power of attorney.